So how does it go the rest of the way in that
The rest of the way.
thoughts become things?
Oh, thoughts becoming things. Don't you just love that? That's why you're here.
I know.
You came here so that the thoughts that you find along your trail can evolve right before your eyes into the things that you prefer. But so often humans don't let the thoughts that are in their vortex evolve because you're too busy looking at the things you've already got, which are opposite of the things you want. So as you said, you want to distract yourself from the things you've got so that you can allow the things you want. Okay, things I've got. I don't want to think about you anymore. You think, I don't want to think about not enough money. I'm not going to think about not enough money anymore because thinking about not enough money doesn't get me any more money, and I want more money, but I'm not going to think about not having enough money. But I don't have enough money, and most of the people I know don't have enough money. Hardly anybody has enough money. There's never been any money in my family. I'm doing it again. I don't have enough money. The bills come and it reminds me I don't have enough money, and I want to go somewhere and I can't go, and it reminds me I don't have enough money. So life keeps reminding me that I don't have enough money. So how am I supposed to think about having enough money when I don't have enough money? Well, you got to think about something else. You got to take money out of the equation for a little while, and that's not an easy thing in this environment where everything costs something. You just got to let the abundance flow to you. Well, how do you know you're doing it? You find snatches of feeling good. We're going to give you an analogy. You may have heard it before, and then we'll jump back into your question because this is a really good conversation that we're having for everyone, and we'll find some resolution to what you're reaching for. So think about being on a hill. Esther thinks about the one in San Francisco, the mini in San Francisco, where she's at this hill and she can see this roller coaster of a road going down into the bay. So put your car at the top of that hill and take the car out of gear and take the brake off, and then give yourself a lesson in physics and push your car just a little bit to see what will happen. Just nudge it a little bit. Well, pretty quick, you become pretty aware of what's going to happen with your beautiful car. So usually you come to your senses before too much momentum happens, and you step out in front of your car and you let it bump up against you, and it stops because you caught it early. But you wouldn't want to be at the bottom of the bay, bottom of the hill, trying to stop that car. You wouldn't stop it. Your action would not be enough to stop that momentum. Same idea with thought. You want to catch them early. If you've been listening to us for a while, in the Ask and It Is Given book, there's an emotional scale. And the emotions go all the way from despair and depression all the way to ecstasy and love and appreciation and some of everything in between. And right in the center of that scale is a word that Esther translated from what we meant at the time. The word was contentment. Today we're using the word satisfaction, but it's right there in the middle of that scale. And satisfaction or contentment is the point along the emotional scale. So let's say that you are in depression or despair and you release some resistance and you find revenge. Well, don't stay there because it'll get you put in jail. But revenge, you got to admit, feels better than despair. And anger feels better than revenge, and frustration feels better than anger. And in each of those movements up that emotional scale, you feel the feeling of relief because you're releasing resistance, and when you release resistance, you feel relief. But there comes a point where you move through the resistance into non-resistance, and that's right where satisfaction is. When you move into satisfaction, that's not so much relief from resistance. That's where this fulcrum tip that we're talking about happens. That's where you're no longer feeling the release of resistance. You are in the flow of allowing. Can you follow that? And once you get into non-resistance, now the law of attraction and your inner being and all of those cooperative components that are in your vibrational reality will call you, as they already are. They've been calling you up the emotional scale too. But once you cross into non-resistance, now it begins to flow so much faster. And that's when the thoughts of what you want begin turning to things. Until you cross that point, the thoughts of what you don't want are turning to things. Your thoughts are turning to things all around you all the time. But you have more control than most of you exercise about whether it's thoughts that you want turning into things or thoughts that you don't want. because you are a pointer, and where you point is where you go. Jerry learned that with Esther in the monster bus. They're wailing down the highway, big monster bus. It weighed 60,000 pounds. It was 45 feet long. They towed a car behind it, and Jerry would say, "Oh, look at the rainbow," and Esther would start going that way. He learned pretty quick, only point at things that are dead ahead, because you tend to sort of drift in the direction that you're looking. And so
it's from some formless vibrational place.
What do you mean? Let's not devalue the power of the vortex that creates worlds. Some formless, because calling it formless sounds a little lackful to someone who wants to turn thoughts to things. I've got this formless thing that I want to turn into something that's a form. Well, good luck with that.
It's the essence.
It's this nebulous mist of nothingness.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. It's powerful thought that's energized by law of attraction, and your inner being is wrapped all around it, and it's already come a long way, and it's ripe and ready for you to begin to be inspired by its beingness, by its becomingness, and you get to watch it become and become and become and become and become and become and become. Yeah? We appreciate your words, but there is form in thought. There's so much form in thought. There's so much that's happened in the thought. In other words, it's like you put the kernel of corn in the ground, and you might call it formless in the sense that the stalk of corn isn't there and the corn husks are not there yet. In fact, it's nothingness as far as you're concerned. It's just there. But it's so much more. It's so much more. It has everything that you're going to harvest later right there within it. And when you have the knowing that it is real, not formless, not nothing, it's something. It's something so important. It's something in the state of becoming something more and more and more and more and more. Don't diminish its somethingness. Encourage and enhance its somethingness, and put yourself in the expectation of witnessing its somethingness becoming moreness and moreness and moreness and moreness. Yeah.
Yeah, the word, I guess, is it's an essence, and you've said before that I translate into form.
We're just asking you to let it be more, because you see, you're hitting right upon the thing that keeps people focused upon the form of what is. If you're addicted to form, if form is good and nothingness doesn't feel so good, what do you want? Form or nothingness? Form, the crowd says. Form, I want form. I want stuff I can see. Well, what you've got, you don't want to just look at what you've got, or you can't get anything more than what you've got. You get that? You got to look beyond what you've got. So the form can't be what your criteria is, and that's the thing that most of you have to overcome first. That's why more people focus negatively than positively, because the positive stuff is still in the state of becoming and they can't see it, so it doesn't feel real. But the form is real, and so they get addicted to the form, and then they don't let the form evolve into something more wanted. That's the best conversation we've ever had about the evolution of thoughts turning to things.
So that took the effort out of, because I've heard the words translate into form. So you translate that into a thought. You translate. So you have a feeling, and I can't remember how you said it. Well,
here's the thing. Your inner being has already translated it. We have this knowledge, and Esther hasn't been studying or practicing these words. She just gets herself in the receiving mode where what we know just flows into her experience. And that's really the way it happens. But humans, you've got yourself convinced that you have to have pain to have gain, and that your effort means so much, and you want to be measured by others, and you want to be enduring and vigilant and strong, and all of those things that people who want you to do things for them have convinced you that you need to do so that it'll go better. And so most people have put themselves so much in the effort mode, and it takes a lot of effort to try to overcome the resistance that you're offering with your effort. Talk about a self-defeating process. The very effort that you offer disallows you the energy that is the leverage of the energy that creates worlds. And then humans look at people who are attracting easily, and you think that there's injustice. That's not fair. Look how easily they attract, and look how hard we're all working. And we say, therein lies your problem. You're crossways of the laws of the universe. You got to start going with the flow of the path of least resistance. You got to understand that the path of least resistance is the path of most allowance, which is the path of most love, and the path of most knowledge, and the path of most leverage, and the path of most fun, and the path of most ease, and the path of most clarity, the path of source energy.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you for that.